We are back again. Pat, quite the weekend, my friend, wouldn't you say?
John, how are you? What a
I'm
weekend
good.
it was. What a
It was,
show.
yep, it was an excellent live show experience in Portland. Kirk was absolutely phenomenal. The producer boys pulled off a pretty flawless technical experience, I would say. Whole thing was great. Shout out to everybody involved. If you guys want to hear all about it, well, I'm sorry, we still have to go full drip on you. I've got some thoughts on Excel documents that'll be exhilarating. And Pat is absolutely fired up about parking freeloaders, which I can't wait for. We'll hit on some Easter stuff, probably recap the weekend at least a little bit. But before any of that, let me say this. Even if you watched all 4 hours of the FOMO show on YouTube, this will still be the most boring part of your week. So without further ado, Pat, I'm going to get out of your way, buddy. I know you got some stuff to say.
It was a few days ago. I was mighty triggered. I've calmed down a little bit, but I'm thinking about it again to get me fired up. My good friend Stacy from Madawaska's phone, fantasy baseball group chat. I'll take you behind the curtain.
Sure.
I don't know if
I think the people like to see a little peek behind the curtain.
A little peek behind the curtain, yeah. I don't know if I sound great or not, but I got a new mic and I'm pretty fired up. I feel like I look great.
Crystal clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. But anyway, we're in the fantasy baseball group chat talking about parking in Portland. And I'm just kind of sitting there watching these guys go back and forth.
As one does, by the way.
Knowing that I know the insides and they don't, but I'll let them have their fun. And then out of nowhere, Stacy or Madawaska's phone goes, I don't think you're going to like to hear this, but I think parking should be free all the time, everywhere.
Oh, no, he didn't, dude.
He did. And unfortunately, this is not the first time I've had this conversation, and it won't be the last. And we usually do like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I will keep it well under that, but I could go for like hours. So I have so many different points on this that I really want to touch on why parking can't be free, and actually why paying to park is a benefit to you and society. And what you're thinking, that's crazy, but we'll get there. Number one, let's just start with this, okay? So parking's free, right? We're going to live in a hypothetical world tonight. Everything's going to be really laced in hypotheticals. Parking's free. Everywhere it's free.
Sounds lovely at first.
It sounds great, right? Even me, I'm like, shoot, I paid $40 to park in Portland. I hit the help button. It took 37 seconds to even get a reply. Go back to episode 3 where we talked about that. But so my first question is, what do you do with the buildings? What do you do with the parking garages that right now are just slabs of concrete that are just absolute money pits? The reason we charge for parking is for 3 letters, John. What are those 3 letters? ROI, return on investment. Now, there's no parking fairy that just comes around with bags of money and says, here you go. It's not how it works. Right now, if you were to buy 1,000 space garage that averages about 7 stories, you're looking at $100 million right in the face if it's within good condition within the last 5 years. Okay, so all of a sudden, yeah, whoever paid that, yeah, you're good. No worries. You owe 100 grand to the bank. You owe 100 grand to an investor, maybe a lender. Fine, whatever. Totally cool. Not how it works. So those buildings have to pay for themselves somehow. And sometimes the parking always doesn't come from that building. A lot of the revenue streams could be outside of the garage itself, tied back into the facility in some nature based off like different owners or whatever. Fine. I understand the argument to an extent, but it's also the craziest thing I've ever heard. So all of a sudden, we don't charge for parking anymore. So that's the infrastructure side of it. And even the open air lots that are sometimes leases or rev shares, what have you. Now, we can go one step further. So the most important part of this argument that I have all the time is those parking gates that I was telling you about, people that drive through them, that cost about $2,200. That's the cheap part of those gates, okay? About 1 lane per kiosk is anywhere from 20 to 25 grand. So let's just say we owe money on those still, what have you. Fine. We're going to have to get rid of gates, okay? So gates are gone in this scenario because there's no real method of payment to release the gate at a trigger point unless you have a loop. You don't really want to get into motion detector loops, but
next episode,
maybe. I just get so lost in this because it's so foolish. Anyway, gates are gone, right? So all of a sudden now this is where we get into the whole affecting society as a whole part. So gates are gone. There is no certain areas for certain people, certain, sectors for parking. A lot of our monthly parkers, a lot of our residential buildings, a lot of our commercial buildings, people pay for a spot because it affects their work. It affects whatever they need to do. So all of a sudden, there's no more of that. There's no gates. There's no one even there anymore to defend the territory of the parking facility because who's paying them? There's no revenue coming in the back door, right? Unless Joe Biden wants to open up his paycheck and write him, open up your taxes and take more out of your taxes. Fucking liberal argument. But I digress. So those are gone. All of a sudden, it's first come, first serve. You, John, who have an assigned parking spot at work, you show up to work one day, you park in a thousand space garage, it's full somehow because all of a sudden all the freeloaders that live in the area who have a 1-car driveway, but they have 3 cars living beyond their means, they just found a garage with no gates, no controls, no parks, no nothing. Yeah, why not? Just leave the cars there forever. Who cares? So all of a sudden now you, John, are on your way to work. Great. You got 10 minutes to spare, no parking spot. Now you're going to look for 20 minutes. You're going to have to park down the road. You're 10 minutes late to work. You get fired. Your house is now on the line. And
Wow.
that house is on the line because there's no controls. There's no structure, and there's no controls. So there's no structure simply because people aren't paying the $200-$300, $400, $500 sometimes for monthly parking, and there's no controls. Now, I've said it before, and I will say it again. And feel free to interject at any point. But if we all retired today, and all the gates went away, and it was just a free-for-all, the world would stop.
It would just
The
stop
world
spinning.
would 100% stop. These garages would turn into homeless shelters. We've seen it. We've lived it. Next time you're parking in a garage, look for like a USB outlet on the wall. A lot of them now are moving towards having locks on them. Not a USB outlet, I'm sorry. Power stripper, a power outlet. Jeez, I do this every show. I always forget one word. A wall socket. Maybe that's it. But we found people like just literally setting up like TVs and stuff. So all of a sudden, the garage, maybe in your residence,
these people they're setting up camp.
Oh yeah, actually refrigerators and shit. It's wild. And I want to get the whole squatter argument. Maybe we'll talk about that on.
Now, are you guys going to send an enforcer?
It's kind of uncomfortable because like our guys aren't really. We don't have the qualifications to go up to a homeless person and kick them out of their new makeshift home. So a lot of times we just call the cops. And it's not a fun situation. But all of a sudden, like what you live every day, where you park every day, where you go to work to park every day, if you're going to a shopping mall, a shopping plaza, anything like that, that's now a free for all, and there's no controls anywhere. So at that point, you can't find a parking spot. You can't go about your day, and all of a sudden, somebody wants to be a hardo and they just want to park right at the entryway of a garage. They want to park, or their car breaks down at the entryway of a garage. All of a sudden, traffic's backed up to the fucking highway because it's a log jam in the road. God forbid there's an accident because no one's there to direct traffic like a flagger, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
These are the things people aren't thinking about, Pat.
They're not thinking about it's like, oh yeah, I don't want to pay the $12. Well, paying the $12 is going to save your life. Okay. Paying the $12 is going to absolutely save your life. There are so many facets of it. So, okay, we shut it down. How about my friend, what's his name? Sherinet. What's his last name? Dox him. But he was an employee that I used to have when I had employees under my belt. No paid parking. Yeah, you're out of a job. So he's homeless now. How's that?
Well, I've always been a parking garage guy. I'll say that I understand complaining about paying for parking garages, but for me, it always felt friends. It always felt a little bit easier. You knew where you were. You get a ticket. Now, have I lost the tickets? Have I been in an airport, gone on vacation, came back, and then couldn't find the slip in my wallet? Sure, absolutely. And is it an absolute disaster sometimes finding the people that work in the parking garage? Sure, I'll spare you. But I guess I never really looked at it that way. And if people like the Drip Lord Pat Ford weren't around, it does sound like the world might stop spinning. So I guess we all owe you a thank you.
Yeah, and I feel you when you say you lost your ticket. One thing I noticed about Portland is I was doing some recon. A lot of those facilities have transitioned to credit card in, credit card out. I don't know if you experienced that from where, you had an Airbnb, so you were fine. I pulled in that garage. I was looking for the get a ticket button, and it always gives me a little bit of joy to figure out where it is. Not there. They removed it completely. Insert the credit card, gate goes up. Insert the credit card at the exit. It reads it, gate goes up.
So it just memorizes the card, calculates the time span, and then it spits
out
the card.
It's PCI compliant because it can't hold on to. There's only certain levels of information that it can hold. So it basically picks up the last 4 of the card, the last name. So those two will tie together, and then it'll pick up your entry time. So the exit kiosk can calculate how long it's going to be. So in Stacy from Madawaska's phones world, none of this would happen. But he'd also
Guys
be
living in fairyland, man.
he'd be parking next to a homeless guy cooking steaks on a microwave oven. So it's not how the world really works. But one thing you said about that too, about how we can't find your ticket. Give it 5 years. There's going to be license plate recognition at every entry
That's
and
true.
exit lane. That's going to be able to pick it up automatically. It's happening now. It's flawed, but it's getting better. So yeah, like I could definitely go on more. There's so many different components to. I mean, I would love to see the unemployment. I would not love to see the unemployment rate. Trust me. Let's just start that. But I'd love to see it as a case study for if all of a sudden free for all, everybody pack up your bags and go, take your gates and go. It would absolutely skyrocket.
Well, ironically, they would lose their job and have
Correct.
to move into the parking garage. Full circle, my friend.
This is good.
Saying. Friends.
I'm not used to this. Yeah, but people always say who comes to mind really? What is that saying? Like farmers are the backbone of America. Like I think it's something like that. Like it's not.
There's a
Ziggy.
guy, Sheldon.
Not Ziggy. It's not Red. Sheldon.
Red. Oh,
Sheldon.
Yeah.
No. You're thinking of Sheldon. He wasn't at the. He did not go to the.
He's blue collar. He turns wrenches. He has cattle.
I think he's a mechanic. I think he was a mechanic by trade. But anyway, I'm not going to go into it too far. People always say like, "Oh, he's the backbone of America." Parking guys like myself and all my compadres at our conferences were the reason the world turns. We're the reason we're all sitting here today, and will be the reason that we catapult into the 22nd and beyond century.
Well, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
When you're doing I know you said you were prospecting some locations in Portland. How often, and this, by the way, this is my segue into what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to word it this way. How proficient are you in Excel? Do you use it on a daily basis?
Yeah. I will tell people that I'm very proficient at it. And so I am like, if we're going on a grading scale, I'm probably like a 78 to 79 out of 100.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you I'm a 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the dollar sign? You ever do that? Like you click on the cell. If you're trying to drag something down and continue a trend, if you put a dollar sign in front of it, it formats automatically.
It formats. There's a date format. So what I was going to say is I love my job. Have no reason to go anywhere else. If I did, I would definitely put proficient in Excel on the resume. I think everyone does. I think that's a kind of a classic thing to do. Even though I'm not the greatest at Excel, one thing I fucking love about Excel are pivot tables. Do you ever fuck around with pivot tables on Excel? So I download my stuff to CSV. It's a big sheet of raw data. Okay. I can't look at all this raw data and do what I need to do with it. Insert pivot table, and then I drag row, drag column. And now, for example, if I want to see how many orders were placed for medical supplies, I actually want to know what insurance these people have, because I have to treat every order with a different insurance a little bit differently. So what I'll do is I'll see how many orders came in through the day, do a pivot table, and then out of those orders, how many have Medicare, how many have Blue Cross, how many have Tufts, so I can plan my attack for the day. So I just absolutely love a pivot table. I think it looks good too. Like if you're going to send that off to, a boss or management, you'd be like, why don't you go ahead and just take a look at this pivot table I put together this morning. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
I'm blown away because I was a 78 and a 79, and I'm backing myself up big time to like borderline 60s, because I have had this conversation with people I work with, and I kind of just go, yeah, no, it always works. I have no fucking idea what a pivot table is. Is it like, so I'm hoping, I'm going to Google it after this, obviously. I'm hoping there'll be some sort of graphic.
It's all jokes aside, it's very, very useful.
Is it like a pie chart?
There's not, it's a chart, but there's no pie involved. You get a column on the left-hand side, and then the volume on the other side, but you can organize it. You can get very in depth with it. If I could use this word again, I think I use it in either episode 3 or 4. You can get very granular with it.
Yeah, I knew it. That's exciting.
And I'm actually pretty good at, and I think this is the very rudimentary part of it, but filters. You drop a filter on there. Now you can go A to
I'm good at
Z.
that.
You can go oldest to newest.
No,
You
I'm not.
can.
Sorry.
I'll mess around with a control F search. If I really, really have to, I will do a control F search, find what I need, no big deal, and we're moving on. But
Yeah.
I just really wanted to share the beauty that is pivot tables. If you're in Excel and you're not using pivot tables, you should absolutely start now. That's my advice.
Over here, I'm in Excel and I'm not using pivot table. So I'm legitimately, I cleaned up like 4 or 5 different pieces of work that I had due out on April 1st today. So I had a huge load off my chest. Pause. And I'm gonna fuck around with some pivot tables tomorrow because like I know guys that I work with use them, but and they've shared them on Teams, but I can't remember and I can't even pretend to know what they are. But yeah, that seems like it could be a real game changer for me. And now, are you one of those guys that like your company put you through an Excel course? Because those do exist, or did you just like, all right, let's see what this does and let's see what this does? You do it on your own.
They've offered the courses before. Some people at my work have just gone out of their way to take these courses. No, I've never done any of that. But he's not my boss anymore, but my boss at the time, every single time I would ask him a question like, oh, I'm looking for this data, or if I really had a list of this, I feel like I could attack this assignment a little bit better. And he'd always say, throw it in a pivot table, throw it in a pivot table. And I would just pretend I knew what he was talking about.
That's what I
But
do.
one day I was like, one day he's going to stand over my shoulder and be like, can you throw this in a pivot? So it took me a while, but I figured out. And it's actually the people who are watching this that are good at Excel. They're like, dude, this is day one stuff. But still,
reach out. Let us know. Yeah.
We can do a course on the next episode, maybe a little screen share action.
I would like that.
What I also like about it is, so it breaks it down into like a good visual, but then if you double click one of the cells on a new tab, it opens up all the information that's behind there. So if it says like Blue Cross 55 orders, if I double click that, all those orders open up on another tab, and then you can start attacking those orders. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
That'd be perfect for what I did in Portland when I'm scouting all these properties, taking notes on pen and paper like a fucking
Pilgrim,
caveman.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, caveman and a pilgrim, what have you. Wow, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of digging on this tomorrow because I'm taking a half day tomorrow.
There you go.
Yep.
Back to the aquarium.
No, I have an awards dinner at night that I have to go to. I don't know if you ever have to go to any networking events for your work.
Humble brag.
I didn't win an award. No. I'm just there to shake some hands and kiss some babies. But yeah, no, I'm gonna do some digging on that this morning. Maybe I'll get my kids some pancakes. That'll keep them quiet for a while, and then I'll dive into the pivot tables because like all kidding it. Fuck, man, this thing is jumpy. Huh? Look at this. Yeah, did that sound bad? Who knows? We'll figure it out. But yeah, it's something I've wanted to.
What? So you left after the show, and you drove home. That must have been a 3.5 hour swing for you. So you got home at what, 2 a.m.?
If you go the speed limit, it was.
Yeah.
No, I went the speed limit the whole time. I was petrified. Yeah, I got home at 1:50 a.m. And so I would have loved to went up to the bar and all that stuff with everybody, but I just saw my chance and I had to take it. Go on.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. So how was that, like waking up the next day and having it be Easter? Like that all flowed all right?
It was fine. I went to bed relatively quick. The ride home was actually pretty treacherous, all kidding aside. There was like 4 people getting sobriety checked on the way home, like within, maybe an hour of the State Theater. So I don't know if they were coming from there. I won't say they probably weren't. They probably weren't because that wouldn't. Yeah, they probably weren't. But there was one point in the highway, and Maine is all 70 mile an hour.
I noticed that,
highway, which was great. But some fucking asshole, his tire exploded. So I was going 70, like, drinking a Red Bull, making sure I'm staying awake. And there's a fucking half a tire right there. Luckily, I'm flying an SUV and I went over it. But if I was like in a lowrider, that could have been really dangerous. And it was like scattered all throughout the highway. But no, it was peaceful, no traffic. I took a little cut through Boston, and no, it wasn't bad at all. Thank you for asking. No one asked me that.
Did you guys do did you have an Easter egg hunt the next day?
72 eggs.
Wow.
72 eggs in the backyard. Invited the neighbor and his kids over. Good kids. It was actually a very wholesome Easter egg hunt because everybody shared. Like they all kind of had 25 or so each, and it was good. Everybody played
Nice.
well. Now,
Nice.
now, now, you stayed, right?
I stayed. Yep.
All right. Now, what was it like after the fact?
So
Any
I
drugs?
stayed, and
No.
we could talk. We'll get into the weekend stuff, the KMS stuff in a bit, but yeah. So I stayed, but didn't do much that night. I went back to the hotel,
Mhm.
the upstairs bar, top of the east, with the after party thing with everybody. But it was pretty low key for me. I was tired, and I knew I was gonna have to wake up early the next day, so I stayed over. Left the Airbnb probably like 8 o'clock, so I got home around 11. But it was one of those things where like you're kind of tired from the weekend, and I went out Friday night,
Hell
and
yeah.
that kind of carried over. So feeling a little hungover, but it's like right when you get home, it's like you walk in the door, and it's like, all right,
Daddy.
yeah, there you go. And by the way, Easter starts now. The eggs are already in the yard. Here we go. So it's like, all
It's
right,
your
put down
turn.
the bag, go run around outside. And my son does this thing where he doesn't pick up like all the eggs and put them in the basket one
Opens
by
them.
one. Opens it,
Same.
goes finds the next one, opens
Fucking
it, goes to
brutal.
find the next one. So that that was still good. And then today, getting back to work, that was a little
Oh,
tough. We had
sucked.
now both kids are sick now, so that's a battle to begin with. And then my kids only go to daycare Tuesday through Friday, so Mondays they don't go.
Okay.
Every Monday, my mother-in-law comes over in the morning, and then my mom comes over later on. They kind of help each other out on
Good
Mondays.
system.
My wife typically will leave to go to work. I'm with the kids just for maybe a half hour while I wait for my mother-in-law. In that 30-minute period today, my youngest, who's 9 months old, absolute disaster blowout of a shit, to the point where he's like crawling around the living room. I smelled it. So I go to pick him up, and I could feel like when I hold him from his back, it's like
It's a back
squishing on
bracer.
his back. And I
Oh,
even did, I
no.
wish I didn't, but I gave one of these, kind of smelled my finger a little bit, and I was like,
What'd you
oh
think it
no,
was?
dude, I don't know. So I'm like in my work clothes. I'm running late to begin with. I had to throw him in the tub. It was just
Oh,
such like a reminder of like, dude, you're back. This is the work week. You are back. Like no more. You're not in Portland anymore. Like
snip,
that's
snip,
it.
brother. Yeah, no, that I've been there, and it's not fun. There's nothing worse than a bath at 8 in the morning because they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're excited. It's a whole fucking mess. Now, I had, when my son was born, a bit of an opposite poop situation. And for those who have squeamish, get the hell out of here. No, it's not very that bad. So my son, when we left the hospital, he kind of shit a couple times at the hospital. He didn't shit for 17 days.
17 days.
17 days. It was
Jesus.
fucking terrifying. Like my wife's a nurse, so she knows pretty much like that was great for us. But after like day like 10, even she was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like
Did you have to get a plunger and fucking?
he wasn't uncomfortable. Like we kept going to the doctor. Like I was calling him like, listen, I'm sure you got a degree and everything, but you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I've shit 3 times today, and this kid hasn't pooped once. Like we need to get this cleared out.
And that's when it's like that tar sticky stuff too, right? At that point,
I wouldn't know. It was early on in the process. But it was like I said, we did the breast pump and all that stuff. So he's breastfed, and they say that.
and you'll call me for the next breast pump.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
We might start early. As you could tell, I legitimately might be able to do that. So Peloton.
We'll size you up.
It's an A cup. But I guess when breastfed baby's taking the nutrients, sometimes it just flows to every single part of their body and like doesn't get like shit out. Which trust me, I don't.
Oh,
I don't.
is that what they said?
Yeah, she was like it. She's like it's normal. She's like if it went on like normal. She's like it's not normal, but we've seen it, and like he's not uncomfortable. We're doing the fucking Wendy's things. Those are a disaster. But yeah, opposite end of the spectrum. Now he has blowouts every once in a while. The old back bracer. So yeah, I feel your pain there. And that was the day. Yeah, you had a great Friday, a great Saturday.
It's a way of reality,
Sunday,
just like slapping your face, like
kicking you right in the teeth.
Yeah. You thought you could go up to Portland like without the family and have your fun, but
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah, karma comes back and gets you. Well, we kind of have something right from the Portland show that we want to play now, right?
We
Tell
do.
me, I'm not really the ad guy, so you take the reins. Let it fly.
Yeah. We'll go now.
Cool.
They've touched our hearts. They've made us smile and became dear friends who we will always remain hopelessly devoted to.
Yeah, I hated that. They did a terrible job with that. No Treat Williams, who died this year.
What do you think? You gonna fuck with me?
I didn't have all the clips. I had clips through the end for what was it? That first upload was May, April.
I don't know.
R.I.P. Wow.
Of course. I mean, if this is the last time we ever see each other, I would be very sad.
To all the minifans up there, love you.
You know who croaked
Oh yes.
months ago?
No.
Intro Man.
Oh my God, he did?
Yeah.
What?
What?
Maybe Steve didn't know. I don't know.
What was his name?
Like Violet.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He died?
Yes.
Wow. Wait, hold on. Time out.
The man is floored by this.
Time out. But now I'm seeing host of Opening Drive, Mike Violet, on Sports Radio 1160. The Score is tweeting things from 2 hours ago.
Oh no. Wait. So
Hey, what the fuck are we doing here?
I don't. How in the wide world of sports did I end up dead on the Kirk Minahan show?
Shut up, Happy. Don't feel bad about me. I got my hand back, see? We've only just begun. Hey, y'all. Sorry I'm gonna have to miss you in Boston. I was looking forward to it. But I'm gonna be working, directing, loving it, having a good time, continuing on to hopefully deliver some really good entertainment to you.
Hola.
Yeah.
Julie,
Yes.
mi nombre es Juan. Do you need a landscaper?
I don't have a lawn, Juan, but you sound lovely. I would definitely hire you.
Who is this?
This is Flaming Fucker.
Oh, okay. Flaming Dragon. Fuckface.
Right on the Exeter parental line. Bear with me, because I think this one's gonna be.
If you asked me, were they planning on coming back, I'd probably say no. Huh. No, I don't know. We can't do that. How about you? You're wasting my time.
I'm a part of a mercy. Try to really ruin my life. He died. And I saw Turtle Boy feel this sad in a way that he lived such a miserable life and he feels bad for him. I am sorry as well. I'm sorry that he didn't live longer and suffer more. If he doesn't want to get married, he doesn't want to get married. I don't like the sham aspect. So the wedding is off.
Speaking of Portland, weekend as a whole was fun. I know you ended up coming up Saturday. Friday night was really cool at Gritty's. I only caught, as far as like seeing it live, I ended up listening to it on YouTube, but I caught maybe the last 15 to 20 minutes. I walked into Gritty's a little bit late. But that's a great time. I was at Gritty's last year. You know how it is. It's kind of you're meeting people or people who've met each other before, saying hello. It's the meet and greet thing.
Yeah.
I listened to it, by the way. I thought a lot of the commentary I saw online where people were hating on it was definitely overblown because it sounded pretty normal to me. I mean, it was a little bit short, but it sounded fine.
If you think, let me get close. If you think that Kirk Seamus Minahan was intoxicated during that performance, you need to shoot me a DM and you need to say, hey, I'm inspired by what you've done in the last 2 years. I want to get sober because you're a fucking drunk idiot. Crazy. People
I mean, not
nuts.
even just the Kirk part. Like they were fine. Like I think there were definitely parts where they were looking for stuff to talk about. And maybe they could have brought more people up, but
Cinema Lords.
Yeah, I know. Tough scene. I ended up seeing him later, and he seemed all right. So
Yeah, it seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, we'll brush past this. As far as us on stage popping the top, there's not much to say. The only messages I've gotten are people like, "Oh, you guys look like Magic Mike." Like I had people questioning if it was AI or like a projector or hologram of Channing Tatum, but like those are the only messages I got.
I'm like, buddy, I'm getting it left and right here.
I haven't seen any of that, Pat.
No, it's been all positive. I have a couple. I'm printing out pictures. I'm going to hang them on the wall above the Peloton so I fucking run to get rid
Those
of
your
it.
goals.
But no, it was fun. I mean, we won't talk about it for too much because it was just a small segment. But Jesus Christ, that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that was.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, thanks for Kirk for even allowing us to be a little part of it.
I'd do it again.
Yeah, the rest of the show was fun. I loved the videos were great. I loved the Big Cat video. I thought that was really well done.
The intro was awesome too. I think one of my
intro was
favorite
great.
parts. One of my favorite parts wasn't even anything like it was. I sat like 5 rows behind Justin's parents, and they were like laughing hysterically. They seemed like they were awesome. So that was.
I was
cool to
wondering
see.
about
Could have
that,
gone a
so.
couple different ways.
Definitely. Speaking of things that weren't necessarily videos or whatever, one thing Kirk's had a joke that I thought was hilarious. When the Prez video played, and he was talking about how Peaches had to go to the hospital, and Kirk said that it was the youngest girl he's ever brought to the hospital. I don't know if that was impromptu or not, but that joke stuck. The crowd loved that one.
How did that dog go to the hospital? What happened to that thing?
I'm not up on the Peaches beat. I will admit.
Yeah, it's not my game. I stay away from the Peaches turf. It's like Taylor Swift. You say one bad thing about the bitch, they're gonna
they'll come for you, man. I thought the Westin being right there was cool. Like throughout the day, like you knew that was going to be kind of like a hub. Like me and you had popped in a couple times, and Minute fans were there, kind of gather around to see everybody. I thought it was absolutely awesome that right before the show started, Kirk came in wearing a suit, popped in, got a pop from the crowd at the bar before jumping over to the State Theater. So that was a cool little piece of the night.
I think one thing that won't get talked about, and it shouldn't because it's kind of like behind closed doors kind of thing. Like I talked to Casey Smith for a while, and she was super nice. And like we kind of talked about our kids a little bit. She has one. And it seems like, so my son and my daughter that's going to be born in August are going to have like a 3-year age gap. I think like her son that she has now is going to be, I think it's right in line with the son that she's going to have with Steve from Gloucester. I think I can do it the same way.
I was like, where are you going? Are you just eyeing this in because you had a conversation with her?
Halfway through, I was like, I don't think this one's going to land, but it made me laugh.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was all right. The one thing that I noticed, so Steve, I love Steve. Steve gets like a bunch of shit online sometimes. Like it kind of comes in waves. I think he was like the star outside, like from a Minifan side. He was like the biggest hit. I feel like everybody was loving the Steve factor. So that was good to see. He never really got that same pub when he was on the Menors Network. So I don't really know why.
Wow.
But now that he made the switch, he's a king. Goes to show.
Gus was good in the videos.
Gus was good. John and Gig.
Definitely. Steve Robinson, while possibly drunk, was absolutely yoked. We might need to get on his plan.
Jesus criminy. I should
happened?
reach out to him.
But I guess
Yeah,
if you're
maybe-
like rolling
maybe
through the
smoke-
woods looking for
smoking
like
that triad
Chinese,
weed.
yeah. Oh, you got to be prepared. He's like Rambo, dude. He's
Yeah. I hope my Ozempic thing works out. I put in an application for it, so that'd be really good. But otherwise, we'll prosper regardless. But yeah, Steve was yoked, which was a shocker. But no, I mean, I've been to a few of them now. I think I went to Saco. I went to Portland before, Plymouth, and then Portland. This was up there with the best one. They did a great job top to bottom, and even Justin and Coleman.
Yeah, the boys pulled it off.
Yep.
I had an absolute blast. Portland's such a great city for the Minifans. Like it's everything's walkable.
And bums. It's good for bums.
There's bums. They fit in. If they
Yep.
weren't wearing the Minifan sweatshirts, you wouldn't really know one from the other.
That's good. That is good.
I guess what we could sort of end on this is it's a short story, but I think it describes you and I pretty well as Drip.
Mm-hmm.
So we had spent a little bit of time together on Saturday before the show. We wanted to talk about some stuff. We were at the Westin. People were hanging out there, but I said, do you want to get a bite to eat? You said sure.
This was after we found out. This was after we found out that we were popping the top. We didn't know that going into this.
Correct.
We went to like whatever it is, a walkthrough. Basically said like, "Yeah, you're taking your shirts off," and like we looked at each other and just
mood change.
We were puddles. Go on. Sorry.
Well, because you're right. You're exactly right. I'm glad you said that because then when we went back to talk to everybody, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was like, Pat, want to get out of here and go get something to eat?
Somebody, I think it might have even been Jay. He was like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, I don't know if I'm all right. Like, I don't know what my life is anymore. But yeah, go on. Yeah, we went to go grab a bite to eat.
We go get a bite. Well, the first part of it too is like, all right, there's a taco place around the corner. You want to get tacos? You're like, yeah, I guess I could eat a taco. We get a little closer. I was like, there's a taco place, but I also heard those burgers are good. Do you want to get a burger? Yeah, okay, I could get a burger. Like we're both just no opinions on anything, just very bland.
Plain old burger.
Okay, yeah, sure, we'll get a burger. We sit down, and there's some movie on the TV, which I have no idea what it was. Some like
Alien
vampire
shit.
thing or something. Yeah. So I turned to you at one point. I'm like, because this thing is right, we're sitting right in front of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, do you know what movie this is? Have you ever seen this? No, I haven't seen this at all. Guy comes over, he grabs the remote, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna put March Madness on. It's on another channel, but there's a movie ending. I'm gonna switch it to that channel. Are you guys cool with that? So he puts it on, and it's one of these Marvel movies. So again, the Marvel movie starts. I turn to Pat. Pat, you ever see this movie? No. Have you ever seen it? No. All right, and then we just go back to eating our burgers, and that was the extent of the conversation.
We just sat there in silence, and then John looks at me at one point. And you're like, I think my uvula is on fire because he had like an allergic reaction to the French fries. I thought that was it. But yeah, that was
my mouth was on
perfect.
fire, and then you being the allergy guy, you texted me. I think the next day, and you're like, "Hey, man, I was
freaking
speaking from experience. I was really worried about it."
Freaking out. But I'm glad we all survived. We survived in many different ways. What a weekend.
Great weekend. Thank you to Kirk. The network's honestly never been stronger because of Kirk's leadership, John's leadership. Everybody should check out Gig. I mean, I got to meet Gig. Fantastic guy. John's a lovely guy. We're going to do this again where we just stretch out the ending. So let's just say bye to people. Watch the network shows. Bye.
See ya.